Life as We Know It with Tom Walton.
Like most Americans with far too much time on their hands during the pandemic and far too little self-discipline to cope with it, I have put on some weight since COVID arrived. Pandemic pounds, I call them. And like most Americans similarly afflicted, I have pondered how best to shed the excess weight and get back into fighting trim. Not that I was ever trim enough to fight. I think the old joke about cigarette smoking applies here. It's easy to quit smoking. I've done it several times. Well, the same can be said for dieting. It's easy to stop overindulging and limit the food I eat. I do it every day, for a couple hours. I've tried all the trendy diets. I tried consuming nothing but juice for a few days. All I lost was a little water weight and a lot of patience for people around me who were chowing down without a care in the world. So now I'm looking at another option. It's called intermittent fasting. I'm not sure it'll work. I've been intermittently fasting for years. For example, I make it a rule never to eat lunch outside of the lunch hour. In fact, I try not to eat outside at all, unless it's a picnic with all the trimmings. During the interlude between a full and satisfying breakfast and the richly rewarding consumption of a half-pound burger at the noon hour, I eat nothing at all. Same in the afternoon. After lunch, I force myself to avoid any snacks until, say, 2:30. From 2:30 to dinner time, any nibbling is sensible and relatively sugar-free. In other words, 1 chocolate chip cookie instead of 2. That's moderation, folks. It's true that dinner cannot come fast enough under such an arrangement, and at that point in the day, I tend to revert to a diet that has failed me many times in the past, the seafood diet. I see food, I eat it. So I'm hoping that intermittent fasting is it. A book called Intermittent Fasting for Dummies explains exactly what it is, and guess what? I've been doing it wrong. There are a number of intermittent fasting plans out there. Some involve greater self-sacrifice than I'm capable of. But I found one plan that has possibilities. It's called the 16-8 plan, and the experts say it is the easiest plan to stick with. Basically, the 16-8 plan requires you to limit your eating to 1 8-hour period a day. The other 16 hours you are free to undertake other pursuits, just not food. In other words, I could start my 8-hour food window at noon with lunch, have a nice dinner at 6 or so, and stay away from the popcorn after 8 p.m. The upside of the 16-8 plan is that half of my 16 hours of downtime will be spent sleeping, or trying to. The downside is that there will be no breakfast, so that's a potential problem. The book warns me that if I make up for the missed meals by overindulging and overcompensating during my 8-hour dining window, I won't lose any weight. One guy in the book followed the 16-8 regimen faithfully over 6 months and lost 5 pounds of body fat. 5 pounds? And it took him 6 months to do it? But hey, you know what? It's worth a shot. And I promise to start really soon. Maybe tomorrow. Or maybe the day after.
Life as We Know It is written and hosted by Tom Walton and is a production of WGTE Public Media. Life as We Know It with Tom Walton can be heard on WGTE FM 91 every Monday afternoon during All Things Considered at 5:44 p.m. Or hear past episodes at wgte.org/life.